How you holding up?
I am good. I'm good. I love your wall behind you. What is it? Is that a
Thank
design on
you.
the wall?
I couldn't tell you what it is, to be quite honest. It's been here for many years.
I love it.
Thank you very much.
At
But
first, I thought it was like little paint chips, and then I was like, no, that's a design.
just
I
look,
love Zoom because I'm getting to see into people's lives just a little bit more than normal, you
we're getting
know?
to see into our private lives. Love it.
Yep.
But how you holding up? It must be a whirlwind time for you at the moment with all this album stuff going on.
It has been a wild ride. It's the past 2 years. I mean, have been unreal. I thought I'd put work in before. Oh Lord, I didn't even know what work was. But it has been such a blessing to get to put this album together, to get to have people that I really love on this album and to create it the way I have. It's just been unreal to have this outlet of creation, and it's really exciting to finally see people getting to hear it and connect with it and kind of get a preface of like what will happen when everyone gets to hear it when it finally gets released. So I'm kind of living in that excitement phase right now.
Yeah. Well, just before we speak a little bit more about the album, you've released a collaboration with Alan Jackson today, which is hugely exciting. Lord, I hope the day is good. And that song I feel like applies more nowadays than it ever has before. So tell us a little bit about that collaboration and how that came about for you.
Yeah, I've always loved Alan Jackson, and during the past few months, it seems that I have really been connecting to his gospel record even more than I already have, and also on top of that, it's Lord, I hope this day is good. This song from Don Williams, it has always had this like soft place in my heart that it's resided. And going through all this, I started kind of realizing, wow, yeah, this song does mean tenfold. I am waking up some mornings just praying that God keeps me going through just today, just get me through today. And I felt that that seemed to resonate with a few people in my life. And I was like, I bet I'm not the only person feeling this way. So I went to the label, talked to them about it, and they said, we would love for you to do this and maybe do a duet or a collaboration with someone. Is there anyone you would love to sing with? And my three options I sent over was Alan Jackson, George Strait, or Jesus. And I said, any of these three. I want to work with all three of these. So tell me which one is willing. And they said, well, we're going to reach out to Alan Jackson first because you said you love his gospel record. And I did. And he wrote back and said, they sent him Small Town Hypocrite. And he goes, I love her voice, but man, she says shit a lot. And he said, but I'm in. And anyways, it was so unreal to be able to create a song, like recreate a song that is already a golden classic in my mind. Getting to just go in and sing it ourselves and put our feelings onto it. Getting to work with Dave Cobb as a producer was unreal. I wish I had more words, more synonyms for unreal, but it really has just been this odd mix of amazing moments and moments that almost feel like miracles. And then I sit back and I'm like, is this real? Like, is this really real? Like, it's really happening? You know, I've been blessed, man. I've just been really blessed.
And it's a super exciting time because you got the album coming out August 14th. I absolutely love this album from start to finish. Every track is an absolute gem. And it's just so honest and gritty and full of amazing stories, very personal stories. So what do you hope that people take away from the album, and what were you hoping to achieve when you went into the studio?
I wanted to I wanted to kind of lean into the David Bowie, Iggy Pop idea of production with more of a Dolly Parton and Loretta Lynn-esque idea of songwriting. So I wanted to be able to pair sorry, I keep getting messages from people on Facebook and stuff about the new song, and I'm like, why are you coming up right now in the middle of the Zoom call? But I really wanted to be able to put together these two sides of music that have really deeply inspired me. So being able to go in and co-produce on songs that I'd co-written really helped me to be able to just make sure that my voice, my ideas, everything stayed in there. It all came out and hopefully translates to people. But I wanted to make every single song into kind of I want it to be like a sonic safe place, this entire album in its own thing, that it's an album you can sit and just listen to on your kitchen floor and cry and drink to. It's something that you can get up and dance to certain songs. You can think to certain songs. But I also wanted to focus on each song working together as a cohesive, larger art project, you know, but also I wanted to make sure that each song, the way that David Bowie did it best, every single song is its own song. You know, everything is somehow singularly unique. And I wanted to make sure that I was able to do this in this album. So, sorry. I just, I was really adamant about that. And it's been so cool to see people react differently to the different sides of this album.
Yeah. How have you found the experience of working with Universal Music Group on this as well? Because it seems to me like they've given you so much creative freedom to express yourself and say exactly what you've got to say. So tell us a little bit about working with those guys and how you found being a part of that family.
They have been an unreal home for me and a family. It's so funny. I was so terrified of labels before because I've heard nightmare stories, you know, but signing with Universal and specifically with Capitol Records, when I went in and we met with all of them, I was insistent on a few things. One thing on the road and in radio tour and everything, I did not want to be left by myself in any room because I'd heard of stories of artists, especially female artists, getting in compromising situations, you know, induced by someone else on them. And I didn't want that to happen. And also the two other options was I wanted full creative control and I wanted to put an interlude on my record. I wanted, you know, those are the three things that I was like, these are the things I want to focus on. Don't want to be left alone in compromising or could be potentially compromising situations. I want to be safe. I want to be heard. And I want to put a weird song on the album. Let me, you know, those are the three things I asked for. And they said, yeah, we wouldn't have it any other way. Full creative control, yours, take it. And it was so cool. The first time I got to bring I brought all the big heads of the company in to my manager's house. She lives just a few minutes from me and has a bigger, like, entertaining house than mine. And anyways, we sat them all down and we had brunch and we played the album for them. And I just stood in the corner, just like anxiously, like swaying from side to side, waiting. And it was so cool because I knew, like, with me having full creative control, they haven't got to hear these songs. They haven't got to tweak them or make them into something different. So I didn't know how they would react. And when I started seeing the different promo guys and the different heads of different departments going, you know, smiling to one another and, like, you know, elbowing each other at certain songs, I was like, this is so much fun. I'm so excited, you know, and, but with all that, you know, if it doesn't do well, it's all on me, you know, it's, but you have to take responsibility for, I think, your art. And that's the only way you can really grow. David Bowie once said that artists are never going to grow unless they are uncomfortable. They can only grow in uncomfortable situations. And I was like, yeah, that's it. Making this album has been such a beautiful time in my life the past 2 years, but also some of the most stressful times, you know, some of the hardest and most uncomfortable. But I think that to make something truly good and to make something that means something, I think that you have to put a lot of heart and soul in it. And it's never easy to do that. It shouldn't be, you know? And I hope that all the hard work Mikey and I put into this and all the co-writers that helped me tell my stories and get the point across, I hope it translates, and I hope that people are able to connect with it on a personal level.
Yeah, and like you say, it's such an artistic album, and you've got the very energetic moments, and then you've got the more reflective, softer moments. And I wanted to speak to you about the sequencing of the album. How much thought actually went into that? Because it kind of feels like you take the listener on a journey. So is that something that you thought about a lot?
Yay! Okay, you're the second person to bring that up today in interviews, and that makes me so happy because so I have this weird thing. When I was a kid, I would go buy a physical copy, and I would listen to number one, number three, number four, number seven, and then number 12. And then I'd listen to the title track. And I always wanted to listen to the title track because I was like, okay, what's this album about? Why did they choose that title? So on the album, the interlude, the reason I wanted that interlude in there is I wanted to have something that was dedicated to the people, because this album it's seemingly selfish. I mean, and not trying to put negative connotation to that word, but it is selfish as far as it's all stories I'm getting to tell about my family or my life, and I'm wanting to share with others. So at the end of it, I was like, I didn't want this to be a selfish venture. You know, I wanted to share this with others so that they can share themselves with me. And randomly, I was talking to God on the way in, and we were talking, me and him, we go way back. We were talking about life and some different things I've been sent through, and I'd come out stronger because of it. I came up with Gold, and the team was like, should we name it if it wasn't for you? And I was like, no, because then someone can cheat and go listen to it because it's the title track. And I was like, I wanted a certain sense of fluidity in the sequencing. Of course, everybody does. But I wanted it to be like a little bit of an emotional journey. I thought that having Just Friends was a really cool way to go ahead and set this album up to go, hey, what you think I'm probably going to do, I'm probably not going to do it. You know, I wanted to put the wildest song that has the most irregular formatting of songwriting at the very beginning. And then I wanted to put the song in that was inspired by an older cousin of mine with red hair that lived in this little single wide that my mom and daddy first started their life in and kept, you know, when they finally moved into a bigger house when they had babies. And it's just, I felt like I was able to kind of take people down my own memory lane. And I hope that they hear that.
Yeah. Well, a personal favourite for me, I have to say, is Looking for a Lighter, which you wrote with Hilary Lindsay and Gordy Sampson. Talk to me about working with those guys, because they are legendary songwriters. So how much does it inspire you from a creative perspective to get into a writing room with those guys? And how did that idea come about?
My dad blessed me as a kid by making my childhood harder. By every summer, it's weird, but every summer I played competitive tennis, and you had to decide what rank you were going to be in. And he'd always put me in the group that was right above where my actual playing was. So every summer, I literally had my ass handed to me on a court by someone every day, like every weekend. I was just getting beat left and right and left and right. But then during high school, I played better because he always made me play up. So I learned how to play better by playing up, playing with someone better than me. And I think the same mentality, it works in Nashville. When you get in the room with artists or writers such as Hilary Lindsay and Gordy Sampson, you either write up or you go home, you know? And that day I brought in another idea that I already had on my computer with a cool bass riff and a drum line, and we started working on it. And then halfway through the write, I said, let me just play you this idea I have. And it was just me on guitar, and I played the first verse of Looking for a Lighter. That was how I wrote it. And I said, you know, I feel like she sees him back at the bar. And this is all based off of a true story. I mean, it was the kitchen junk drawer that I stumbled, you know, I start looking through, I found the fake ID that on my 23rd birthday, the morning of my 23rd birthday, I found out, oh my God, I caught up with the age I told everyone I was at 18 and 19. Like, oh, wow. And I kept talking about all these little things that I wanted to make sure I could get in this song. And Hilary said, look, I don't mean to be a jerk. I hate when people do this, but can you save this song for us? Can we write this next time we get together? Can you please save it for us? And I was like, yeah, I'm willing to save it for us. So we got back together. I started telling them about me finding these old love letters from this guy and how it went from my 23rd birthday. I was looking for a lighter. I was going to light something up and have fun that day. And then, God, I just run into a memory in the back of the drawer. And it came from that. And it is such a cool thing to see bad moments in my life that we have figured out how to spin a silver lining out of, you know what I mean?
Mm. And I wanted to speak to you as well about Redhead, because I noticed your Zoom name is the Redheaded Stepchild. So you're obviously a very, very proud redhead. Now, tell me about the moment when you get Reba involved in that track, because I'm guessing that's a pretty big deal for anybody. So talk us through that process.
It still doesn't, I don't know why she was willing to do it, to be completely honest. I'm so grateful she was. You know, my nickname in high school, fun fact, was Fancy, because I did a cover of Fancy, and my friends never let me live it down because they're like, that's our favorite, sing Fancy. Every time we'd have a party, I'd have to sing Fancy. But the thing is, I grew up loving her, and getting to bring her onto this album, just that she was willing to do it, it says so much about her kind spirit. And I don't know what else to say other than I've been so blessed by some of these bigger artists being willing to, you know, step down from this huge throne they've built for themselves in country music, and to help out a young artist like me by singing a verse with me. You know what I mean? It just means the world to me that Reba was willing to do that. And gosh, she did it so good. She hit it out of the park. And I just was so excited. I almost peed myself that day too.
It came out so great, and it gives the album a whole other dimension having Reba on it. It sounds awesome. And you did a music video for it as well, directed by Justin Clough. So tell us a little bit about working with Justin and what he was like to work with from a creative standpoint on a video project.
Justin is just brilliant when it comes to figuring out how to get the lyrics across in a music video. He really did nail it. I told him about the trailer. I drew sketches on my iPad of the trailer, how it looked when we were kids, when we were younger, and the trailer that my redheaded cousin moved into, the one that really inspired the beginning of the Redhead song. I sent him pictures of it. You know how it is now. It's now just a little shed, you know, in the backyard. But I took all of that stuff and I gave it to him. I even went and he let me set up a little shrine to Reba in the girls' room and decorate the little girls' room. And he gave me so much control that I felt very comfortable and confident that everything came across. And he added so many little moments. Just made me so happy in the end. Justin was just unbelievable to work with. And in this album, or in this video, because we weren't able to bring Reba in that day to do it, bringing in this little girl named Sosie, for her to play the young redheaded girl looking up to redheaded artists such as Reba, it was so cool. And she just brought that fiery sassiness, you know, to the forefront of the video. And that's exactly what I wanted. It was such a cool day. I think it was like a 14-hour day, but we nailed it, I feel like, on the head. And it made me really excited.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. And I wanted to speak to you about Mean Something as well. You got Tenille Townes and Ashley McBryde on there, a real kind of girl power record. And I think that song's going to be so inspiring to loads of aspiring female artists out there. So tell us about that song, how it came together, and also why Tenille and Ashley were the best choice for that, you thought.
I know. Those two women, I believe, were the best choices because they're in it for the right reasons. You know, many people are, but when you meet people that are genuinely everything you think they are, they're everything that they act and they seem like on stage, they're actually that person behind the curtain, and they care about the music. They aren't in it for the fame or the fortune. They just want to make good music that helps people. And I feel that, and I can sense that through them. And the closer we get as friends, we hang out about weekly now. We're hanging out tomorrow night. But the thing is, with all of that said, it's like getting to know these girls, the more I get to know them, the more excited I am about their future and how hopefully we will all grow together. Mean Something was one of the more sincere ones on the album that I wrote after watching the Grammys. It was inspired by Chance the Rapper, his performance on the Grammys that year. And I started writing, you know, like, I'm barely a poet. I'm definitely not a prophet. I didn't get into this shit for profit. And it was just kind of going through, and it was like, don't we all just want to mean something? We all just want a little bit of respect and a lot of love, don't we? Yeah. Like, we just want to be something to somebody else, just one person. If I can be important to that one person, my heart is full, you know? And I was like, but how is it that we make ourselves seem so very different from everyone. And we just, I don't know how to explain it. We pull ourselves back from humanity as a whole sometimes because we think we're so different and we want different things. And I just wanted to bring in two women that are in this for the right reasons and care about their fans to sing this song about, look, we're all the same and we're all a little sad with how it is right now, but we can mean something and we can be something. And I'm just so thrilled that those two girls were willing to do it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of female artists and female power in country music, you've been doing a lot with CMT for the Next Women of Country live streams recently. So how much fun has that been for you to delve into the other artists' pasts and what's going on in their lives?
Man, it's so cool because and it's very comforting to me because a lot of the frustrations and the issues I feel like I run into when I start talking to other women in this industry, I'm like, oh, wow, I'm not alone at all in these feelings or assumptions, you know. And getting to just be able to be on the CMT platform is an honor, but getting to be on there and being myself and get to bring in some women that have either inspired me, have touched me personally with their music or, you know, in personal life. Just bringing in all these different people. Some people I have real deep connections to, like Ashley McBryde or Tenille and Lindsay L., like the people that I know well. And then also getting to bring in people that I'd never met before, like Creed Harrison or Hillary Scott and Cam, but I'm huge fans of. It was so cool. I mean, I feel like it brought a new dynamic every week. And I'm blessed to get to know other women in this industry.
Yeah. And just before I let you go, Caylee, because I could speak to you all day, but we're running out of time.
I know, I'm sorry.
I wanted to speak to you about plans for the UK because we were so disappointed that we lost C2C at the very, very last minute. But has it been in your plans to come back at some point and really make a commitment to the UK?
Oh, for sure. I feel like, honestly, I know that C2C had to do what they did. You know, they had to cancel for the safety of people. Yeah. But I personally felt like I disappointed some of my London fans because I wish I could have just stayed a few more days and given them the show they wanted before all this ended, you know? But I just can't wait for the first time I get to come over, and I just want to squeeze each and every single one of you. By the time I got to London at C2C, they were like, no hugging. In Berlin, I was still hugging people. In Amsterdam, I was still hugging people. And then I got to the London thing. They're like, hey, like, no more touch, you know? And I was like, why? And then, you know, we get into this world now where we're all 6 feet away. But I just cannot wait to be able to be back over there to share these songs and stories, God, one year later. But I would be grateful if anyone took the time to come and listen. And I hope that they do. I hope they forgive me for having to let them down. But know that it wasn't in my plan.
You didn't let anyone down. We'll make it happen at some point, fingers crossed. And I'm sure you're going to absolutely raise the roof when you eventually play in London somewhere. But thank you so much for doing this today, Caylee. Really appreciate your time, and best of luck with the album. I'm sure it's going to go amazingly well for you because it deserves it.
Yay! Well, thank you so much for just taking the time to listen, taking the time to do this, and just taking an interest in the music. I really do appreciate that.